All right, it is May the 16th, 2024. Thought I'd make another video. I made a previous video yesterday, and I was a little depressed and everything during that video, during withdrawal from a substance called Kratom, or Kratom. I call it Kratom. So I was able to get a Zoom appointment with my doctor this morning, which is awesome. And he is actually familiar with the substance, which is great, which is really rare, because most doctors, a lot of them don't know what it is, or they've heard about it, but they don't really know that it has an opiate effect on the brain, partially. And I was taking, several grams a day. And so he suggested that I go on a rapid taper schedule. In other words, just take, very, very small amounts, every 4 hours, and then drop a gram every day. A rapid taper, so like maybe a week. And prescribed something called gabapentin, which I've taken before and tolerated really well. And I know a lot of people, and I've watched a lot of videos, a lot of quitting Kratom videos and YouTube channels, many of them. A lot of people taper, some of them go cold turkey. I was at a point to where cold turkey, I'm not going to say the word here on YouTube, but let's just say I didn't want to be around anymore. And so I felt that a taper would be more appropriate. It'd ease off of it. And the withdrawals are still there. I can still feel them now. I'm not escaping withdrawal at all. I still feel a sense of, a little lack of motivation, a little like brain zaps and things like that, but it's a more tolerable. The gabapentin makes it a lot more tolerable, but I take it in low doses. I don't take, a handful of pills or anything like that. I'm not going to trade one addiction for another. But anyway, I got off course a little bit, but what I was saying was that gabapentin I never found it really addictive, and I was able to take it in the past and stop. Never had any withdrawals or anything from it, but I wasn't taking 1,500 milligrams a day either, and I won't be doing that now. But yeah, he was telling me that the gabapentin will definitely help with like restless legs at night and kind of mitigate those symptoms. So but let me go ahead and tell you I'll try to keep this quick. My drug addiction in the past has mostly been pharmaceuticals. I think most addicts have smoked marijuana and things like that. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not promoting the use of any drug at all. I'm not a medical professional, so I'm not in the position to tell anyone what to do. And that's really important. And hopefully that somehow in the algorithm of YouTube, they'll understand that I'm not promoting any drug use at all. But sometimes you just need something to kind of mitigate that. But gabapentin can be addictive to a lot of people. So if you're like me and you're a total fiend when it comes to pharmaceuticals, be really careful with it. In the past, my alcoholism, I was an alcoholic for years, and I drank every day. Gradually over the years, might be giving my age away here, but in the early 90s, of course I was really super young then, or let me think, because my brain, I'm trying to, this is not edited or anything, I'm not scripted, so I apologize. The first time I drank was when I was 14. That would be in the early 80s. And I would sneak beers from my dad's, from his little stash in the refrigerator. He found out one day, he wasn't happy at all. But we won't go into that. But my dad was a drinker at the time. He doesn't drink anymore, and I don't know how it works as far as inheriting that problem. My dad was a pretty heavy drinker for a while, and it gradually, I got that buzz from that beer, and I knew right then I gotta have more later. I gotta get some more alcohol. By the time I was in my later teens and 20s, I'd go out with friends and drink. I didn't drink every day, anything like that. I wasn't an alcoholic, at the time. But got my previous marriage. I've been married before, and now this is my second marriage, and that's the last one. Anyway, I gradually started drinking a little heavier and a little heavier, and when it got into the early 2000s, I was drinking a lot more. By the late 2000s, I was just drinking every day. I got my first prescription of pain meds when I had a severe case of strep throat and mononucleosis back in 99, I think. As soon as I took those pills, I was hooked. That was it. I had to have them. I would doctor shop and try to find more pills, and I would go complain of having a cough to get hydrocodone syrup and things like that. And by the mid 2000s, I was getting divorced and just going through a separation and all that, and I'm not going to go into detail about that either. It got to the point to where I was drug seeking behavior. I purchased fentanyl on the street, and from someone I knew at work at the time. Little patches, and they didn't have the gel in them, but I could cut them up and put them on my tongue and get a super high from it. And they'd last me a while because they're super, I don't know how I'm alive right now. I remember laying down in bed after taking a couple of the little squares of the patches and drifting off into this dream world, and then waking up and then realizing I wasn't breathing. And it scared me to the point to where I didn't want to go back to sleep. I was scared. I was like, I'm going to die. That was the close call that I had, and not going to say I didn't touch it again at the time, but I eventually, I couldn't get it anymore, and I just said, no, I'm not going to do this. I'll stick with other stuff. And then I got hooked on tramadol, which is Ultram. I guess tramadol is the generic name, I guess. You might correct me if I'm wrong. I started ordering online. Now, this was before it got highly controlled. I was ordering it online. I was spending $130 or something like that for 180 pills or something. And just, spending money like water on this stuff, because it was the closest thing I could find that would give me that opiate high. Eventually it got controlled and I couldn't get it anymore. Later on, back in 2016, I'm skipping a lot here, but I don't want to make this video too long. I found Kratom, and my dad actually introduced me to Kratom, and he uses it to manage his pain and everything. And I was hooked. I took it, felt just a lot like an opiate, and I thought, hey, it's a plant, no big deal, I said in my first video, I'm going to say it again, I'm not an advocate for having it banned or regulated. just like alcohol, just like any kind of medication, even caffeine or anything like that, you can abuse it. Or you can use it responsibly. I don't use it responsibly. I haven't used anything responsibly. So I discovered Kratom, and it's 8 years past now, and I've taken it in more and more and more and more doses, higher doses, to the point where I was going through bag after bag of powder and capsules, and it got to the point to where I was getting sick, and I was vomiting and missing work sometimes, and things like that, because I was drinking and taking it at the same time and just making myself sick. The high was great, but then when you come down, you just feel completely obliterated. So I got on an alcohol program. It's an online alcohol program, and you go through Zoom meetings, and you go to meetings on Zoom every week. You meet up with a counselor. There's actually a breathalyzer that I have to use. I have to breathalyze 3 times a day. They give me started me on low dose naltrexone. Well, naltrexone's an inhibitor of an opiate, so it made I ended up having to take more Kratom to mitigate the effects of the naltrexone. So I'm just on a constant roller coaster all the time. So I am adamant about getting off this stuff, and it's so hard. But I got help, which is awesome. And I haven't drank in a long time. I think the last time I had a drink was, goodness, a couple of months ago. And I didn't get drunk or anything. I just had a couple. So my alcoholism problem has really been under control. And honestly, I'm getting too old to tolerate it anymore. I'm not in my 20s anymore. And, you know, I can't deal with hangovers anymore. So anyway, that's my quick overview of my story of addiction. And got a lot more to say, but I know attention spans are short, and I don't want to. I'll make another video. I might try to script this a little bit so that it's not all over the place like it is right now. I just want to say that anyone who's going through any kind of addiction, whether it's your gas station bought stuff or harder stuff or anything like that, even, you know, just know that you're not alone. You're not alone. There are so many people out there just like you. And I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. I apologize. I want you to know that I feel for you, and you're not alone. So I'm going to end this. And again, this is really difficult for me to put out there, but it keeps me accountable. And if I don't, you know, make this public, I guess, or I don't like making it public, but I obviously am right now, but it'll attract people who have these kind of problems, and I can support them, and they can help support me. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and end this. I really thank you for listening. If you stumble on this video, or, you know, it's not exactly a popular channel, I just started it. So, thank you, and I am signing off.